Welcome to Topline Hotline.
Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. It's it's Thirsty Thursday. Is it thirsty? We don't know. It's Topline Hotline. You know, Topline Hotline. It's your favorite short segment where listeners and Pavilion members from the CRO channel primarily, but also from the CEO community, ask questions to your favorite co-hosts. It's me, Sam Jacobs, CEO of Pavilion, AJ Bruno, CEO of QuotaPath, and Asad Zaman, CEO of Sales Talent Agency. We've also got this week's guest, Peter Walker, Head of Insights at Carta, answering questions. Our question asker is Asad Zaman. Asad, ask us this week's question on Topline Hotline.
Okay, so we have another question from the depths of the Pavilion Slack. And so this is a confidential question. The person asks, hey team, would love to get this group's take on a business challenge I'm currently facing. I support an inbound team and we're seeing a huge slowdown in demand gen. So much so that it's creating a lack of capacity challenge for the team. I believe having a focused, specialized role that's focused on inbound exclusively still makes sense for our size and scale of company versus moving them to a hybrid role. So would love to hear other ways you would have the team fill top of the funnel. For reference, here are a few things I'm doing. I'm having them be more engaged and interactive on our chat tool. I'm multi-threading into existing accounts that come inbound, target old accounts leads that no-showed our qualification calls or discovery calls, target old accounts leads that didn't convert, and self-source accounts and outbound into them. This is reserved for the most tenured reps who have worked all other lists exhaustively and is lowest priority for them. Is there anything I'm missing or you may suggest adding?
We're doing something kind of interesting. We have our execs reaching out like RevOps to RevOps or CFO to CFO. I feel like from an inbound or a capacity opportunity would be doing like helping facilitate that in more of a one-to-one reach out. Last week we had our head of ops, our VP of ops. He's our actual VP of ops. Ryan Milligan reached out to 10 revenue operations leader that was set up from our BDR, Tom, and had 8 positive responses from that.
Wow.
So, I think demand's one of those things that's a little tricky right now. We had a fantastic last several weeks, very event driven. We had SaaStr and inbound, but I'm, it's just one of those seasonality things that we're all seeing right now. So getting maybe more of your team involved that also might have capacity to do this is one idea.
Sam, what do you think?
What I think is we've got a career marketer and head of insights from Carta. And I'm not just going to ask Peter what he thinks, but I'm going to say, if this isn't a demand strategy, I don't know what is, which is that I still think the way of the future in the modern world is, here's what we were talking about at dinner last night. In the future, well, today, it is the people that can tell an interesting story that will win the attention of anybody that you're trying to have a conversation with, which is ultimately who you're trying to sell stuff to. And to have an interesting conversation, you need to have a point of view. You need to be original and authentic, and you need to share information and insights that other people don't have. And if you can do those things, you can generate all kinds of different interesting opportunities. And that's the fundamental problem with the role of the SDR, which is that you're trying to take what should have been automated the whole time. We just didn't have the technology, and you're trying to make 24-year-olds robots, and they don't really want to be robots, and they're not particularly good at being robots. And so some of them are, and the ones that are the 15% of SDRs that hit quota. I don't even know if that number is true, but I just made it up. But most of them are. And so anyway, my what I think is, Carta's invested in an insight strategy. I obviously want to hear what Peter has to say, but he's producing interesting content. We know of him as a human being, not necessarily as a talking head just for the brand, although he leverages the insights of the brand and the data that the brand has. And I really think, this is on Monday's episode was a freaking 45-minute advertisement for Carta. And we were cool with it. It wasn't a problem.
We invited them.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I think. Peter, what do you think?
Well, yeah, Sam, I appreciate you writing my promo packet for me there, or at least dictating it. I'll speak my own book here. I've got no problem with it. I completely agree that the way that people buy is fundamentally different today. And the easiest thing to do is to tune someone out because they're selling you things. Whereas if you come to the conversation with useful, valuable information and you just give it freely up front, you build affinity in ways that you are not aware of. So at Carta, we're measured on all sorts of these KPIs, views, impressions, downloads, all that kind of stuff. But that stuff doesn't actually matter to me. What matters is hearing, oh, Sam and a friend of his were speaking about Carta data at a dinner that I was not a part of. That's what you want. You want your stuff to be mentioned in conversations you are not aware of, and it will rebound back to you in 100 different ways. So if I'm an SDR or a BDR or someone just trying to fill pipe in that way, can I go to either my data team, my product marketing team, anyone in the company and say, what do we know that other people want to know? And I can bring you the questions because as an SDR, I should be listening to the questions out there in the marketplace. I can bring you the questions. Can you, the other parts of the business, feed me any answers? Yeah. Bonus points if they're done in cool graphs, but doesn't have to be, so that I can speak knowledgeably about the thing that I want to educate the market on. And once you start educating and not just asking, people will come to you. It just happens. Maybe it'll take a little while. You got to spend some time on LinkedIn, which isn't, everyone's favorite platform, but that doesn't matter. Saying the valuable stuff up front is how you generate this sort of affinity, for sure.
Peter, did you have a quota for your compensation report?
No quota for my compensation reports.
We're going to have Sam help you get promoted by saying you hate your quota. I mean, yeah, you definitely.
Seriously,
I respectfully opt out of any quota discussions.
He has a page where it's got all the reports that he's written, and now I want to read all the reports. There's a bunch of cool stuff about, and I haven't read all of the Carta reports. So anyway, I just want to
that's the idea.
And what you said is almost like a variation of the Peter Thiel thing of what do you believe that nobody else believes, and how do you and then take that message out to the world. And so does that mean you have an inbound SDR? I think the question was a bit more tactical than where I took it, but yeah, I do feel like that's the fundamental essence of it. What do you know that nobody else knows that's interesting?
Okay, I handled the tactical one. I handled the very tactical. I led you to the cerebral strategic stuff that
I'll go back to something tactical with it. I think the inbound role is a phenomena of a low interest rate market that we I don't think this role made sense. If you are Salesforce who invented this role and you have the brand of Salesforce where people are running to you, if any company wants to buy a CRM, they're going to consider Salesforce. So them having a inbound person makes a lot of sense. When a Series A company comes to us, even Series B, and says, oh, we have an inbound person, I'm always like, why? It makes no sense. Firstly, if you were to rethink all of this, when a lead comes to you, do you want somebody who is that junior dealing with it in an ideal world? I don't think so. I think this is kind of something we've created because the economics of it made sense, but I don't think it's the most ideal way to deal with leads, is to have the most junior person in the world who has no business acumen, limited training, limited capabilities dealing with those leads. I think that's a flaw worth thinking about. Secondly, I think if your company doesn't have a massively impressive brand, thinking that you have enough reason to have an inbound person is probably wrong. I think this fear of outbound, that seemed like there was a fear of outbound in that list of things, the absolute last thing, lowest priorities, will do something outbound. I think that's a mindset shift that's needed, because the next couple of years are going to be non-0% interest rates type of environment. And in that environment, you're going to have demand is much harder to generate, and just sitting back and hoping people are flying to us to buy our shit is a good way to miss target. So I think the role itself has to be rethought.
I love that. And with that, everybody, I will say that this has been the best ever episode of Topline Hotline.
Awesome.
Peter, thanks so much for being our guest on the show this week. If anybody wants to check out Peter Walker's reports, they're on carta.com. Incredible. We reviewed the state of compensation in the first half of 2023, but he's got reports on the funding environment, the pre-seed environment, all kinds of different amazing stuff. Thanks for joining us. On behalf of my co-host Asad Zaman, CEO of Sales Talent Agency, and AJ Bruno, CEO of QuotaPath, give us 5 stars on the iTunes store. See you in Nashville, Tennessee next week, and we'll talk to everybody next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Topline Hotline.